So before we start tonight, I was actually just wondering to get a measure in the room to see how far down the rabbit hole we can go, because I know that some people here will have read all the books. There's going to be some people who are here with their pals, you know, who are on the table. I've brought about 8 people with me who've never read any of the books tonight, for example. And then some people who just like BBC Sport, and they assume it's some sports personality thing. You know? So they're in for a very interesting night. You know? So I'm just wondering, who here has read the books, seen the DVDs, or something? Oh, this is a good crowd. This is a good crowd. Who's here with pals? They've been sort of just, this is the new to this tonight. That's cool, that'll be brilliant. Sports personality fans. But it's going to be great, you know, especially, you know, for people who are new to it, it's interesting, but for a lot of us, I've read David's books for over 20 years now, and, you know, as a writer myself, like, I don't think there's anybody in any media who's opened my mind up more than David's stuff, you know, because it teaches you to think in a different way, to question everything. It's kind of the opposite of how we're taught. You know, television tells you what to think, school tells you what to think. And this was the first writer, I think, who'd ever made me think for myself, which is really interesting about everything. And you know, I work in science fiction, I work in superheroes, I do spies. David's work covers all of that. It's amazing, you know. So like, I love it. I was mad about it, you know. So like, and it doesn't seem that long ago that the world did seem simpler before I read my first David book. You know, Jimmy Savile was a guy who, as far as I knew, was just good on telly. You know, that's what we were always told. The BBC was the envy of the world, we were told. The EU was this lovely thing that brings everyone together. Ted Heath was an elder statesman. The royals are good for tourism. You know? And one by one, everything that we read in David's books, all the things that were mocks over the years, they've all turned out to be true. Even the most outrageous things turned out to be true. And I've always seen them, it's like the Wizard of Oz. What we're taught, the BBC, ITV, all these things, the newspapers, they're the Wizard of Oz, and he's total pulling that curtain and showing us what's behind it. You know, so I don't know if you'll appreciate that, but I've always thought of that, you know, so it's been 20 years coming. Last time he was here was over 20 years ago in Edinburgh, and he's here tonight, so if you welcome him to Scotland, a big round of applause.
It's me. What have I done?
You've been in Scotland 24 hours.
He looks nice tonight, Jaden. Got dressed up for us. Are we there? Can I sit down now?
Yeah.
There you go. We're there. Well done. It's like Michael Parkinson, isn't it? Do you remember that?
But you've been in Scotland 24 hours, you haven't been jumped. Everybody's been nice to you so far?
Yes, they have. And I have a soft spot for Edinburgh. I was saying to Mark a few minutes ago, when I started out in the 1990s, funnily enough, I mean, this is shocking, but no one wanted to know. And I thought, I'm going to go on this tour, speaking tour. It sounds really grand, but I mean, with a speaking tour, it sounds as if people turn up. They never did. And I was doing these gigs in Britain. What would it be? Maybe 1996, maybe? And no one was turning up. But I had this one in Manchester. I am leading to Edinburgh, by the way. I had this one in Manchester, and there had been quite a bit of interest, you know, like double figures for me, you know, there was quite a bit of interest. I was looking for this one. This was not going to be, you know, 8 people. So got to Manchester, and killing the time in the afternoon, we went on the Coronation Street tour, which you could in those days, and so we go around, and you go around the studio and everything like that. It wasn't a great day, but it was all right. We come out, the end of it, the snow's coming down, right? It's like Iceland in bloody February. And by the time we got to the car, things were stopping. Buses were stopping. It was just extraordinary coming down. And put the radio on, and I was speaking at the university that night, a public event. And they were saying, if you haven't got to go out, and it's not an essential journey, don't go out tonight, right? So I turn up for me gig, but someone's got to turn up in Manchester. No one turned up, right? So the next one I got to Inverness. I speak in Inverness Theatre, and there was 325 seats, and the first row, I think the first row was quite full, second row was half full, and then it went very dark and silent everywhere else. So the next morning I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, what's the frickin' point? Right? What is the point of what I do? There didn't seem to be one. But I had one more left, Edinburgh. So I'm driving down in the car, thinking, this could be the last one, I've had enough of this, there's no point. 250 people turned up at this event in Edinburgh. And it gave me, and I thought, there is a point, there is a point. And it gave me the impetus to go on and go on and go on. So I've always got a soft spot for Edinburgh, because if no one had turned up in Edinburgh, who knows where that would have gone? Because that's what it was like in those days.
I was going to say, if you'd done Glasgow, you'd get 350 that time.
Yeah, we're hoping to go to Glasgow and do an evening event. I love Glasgow as well.
Dundee.
But you know, it's funny, there's a lot of people here, like, you know, very familiar with your stuff, but some people who aren't. Like my daughter, for example, my oldest kid, I brought tonight, and she's unaware of your journey. She's read some of your more recent books, but like she's unaware of the context of everything. So I thought maybe just to kick things off tonight, just the Reader's Digest version, you know, how it happened for you, you know, this leading up to, what was the turning point in your life, where your old life became your new life?
Well, there wasn't long between the old life and the new life. It was called The Wogan Show, really. It's funny because I was in television, BBC, and I thought I was going to go down that route after my football career ended with arthritis. But the media and the BBC and that whole arena is so vacuous. In fact, you know, I mean, vacuous might sue for defamation of character. It's so inward-looking and vacuous, and I'd had enough. And I wanted to find out something else, but I had nothing else, so I just kept on with the BBC. And then my life started to turn very strange. From 1989, when I was by this time a national spokesman for the British Green Party, whenever I was in a room alone, it didn't seem I was alone. And it was not terribly tangible to start with. By the end of 1989 and into 1990, this feeling of not being alone in a room was very, very tangible. And I'm working for the BBC in London. I'm at a place called the Kensington Hilton, just around the corner from a television centre. And this night, this presence in the room got so tangible that I actually sat on the side of the bed and I said, look, if there's something there, would you please contact me, because you're driving me up the wall. And just a few days later, I remember buying a book called The End of Nature. I've never read it, I don't even know where it is, because of what happened. I bought it, and you know Gareth who was singing, right? He was about that tall at the time. And we were kicking a football about down the seafront. I just bought this book, and so we walked along the front at Ryde to the railway station, where there was a Greasy Go's Cafe there. And we were going to have a cup of tea or something, and the place was packed. So I turned to walk away, and I said to Gaz, we'll go up in the town. And then a railway worker stopped me. I remember Southampton Football Club were playing in the semi-final of the FA Cup that day, and he wanted to talk about football. And then after a little chat, I realised Gareth was missing, but I knew where he would be. It was in the newsagent shop on the station, looking at steam train books, because we like steam trains. So I walked into the door, and he's standing there reading a book. And I said, "Come on, guys, we'll go up to town, have some lunch." And as I turned to go, my feet wouldn't move. And I know what was around me now. Then I didn't know. What I was feeling was an electromagnetic field of some kind. And I'm in a kind of bewildered state when this has first started. And the atmosphere changed. The atmosphere changed because of this electromagnetic field. And then I wouldn't say it was a voice, but it was a very, very, again, tangible thought form passed through my head, which said, go and look at the books on the far side. Now, I knew this newsagent shop very well, by a paper there a lot of days, and it only had a few books on the far side, and there were Mills and Boon and Barbara Cartland, perfectly formed English roses and all that. So I start to walk towards these books in a complete daze. What the hell is going on? And when I got over there was the Mills and Boon, there was the Barbara Cartland, but in the middle was this book with a woman's face on the front, and it said, Mind to Mind, Betty Shine. And I was attracted to it because it was different to all the others, and I picked it up and I read the blurb and I saw the word psychic. So I thought, I wonder if this woman would pick up what's going on around with this presence. And this is haunted, this place. I expect to walk, someone walking across with a head under their arm. It's a great venue. It is haunted. Anyway, I then looked at the blurb, saw the word psychic, and I thought, could she possibly, pick up what's going on around me? So I read the book in 24 hours. I found it very interesting, and then I went to see it. And we had a couple, and what I said to her is not, I feel a presence around me, what do you think? I said to her, I've got arthritis, and nothing is working, and so maybe your hands-on healing, which she also did, would help me. That's all she knew. She didn't know anything else. So, you all right then?
Yeah.
All good?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I went to see her, and for a couple of times she did the hands-on healing. We had a nice chat, nothing. And then the third time I went, and I'm sitting on this bench in her house, not far from Brighton, in the village. And she's doing the hands-on healing next to me left knee. And I felt this spider's web on my face. And again, I now realise what that was. It was an electromagnetic field. It's the kind of electromagnetic field that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up when you're in a big, excited crowd. And what hit me when I felt that was, in her book, she said, when other levels of reality are trying to lock into you, you sometimes feel like a spider's web on your face. So I'm kind of sitting there thinking, what the hell have I got myself into? This is all new to me. I didn't know anything about this thing. And then I said nothing to her, but about 10 to 15 seconds later, she was doing the hands-on healing, and she threw her head back and she said, my God, this is powerful. I'm going to have to close my eyes for this one. And my bum started sticking down the bench, going, what have you got yourself involved in? And then she starts telling me, oh, one of those.
Yeah, because it's doing it already.
Oh, thank you.
See if that works.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't know how they work this out. What button to turn? Is that all right? Anyway, is this working now still?
No, it's really bad.
Really bad?
Oh, there we go.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Turning it on does help, I find. I don't know where they get it from. Anyway, she starts telling me that she's seeing this figure in her mind, who is, the first thing she said to me was, they know you wanted them to contact you, but this is the hotel room. Well, if you contact me, you drive me up the walk. She knew nothing about that. But the time wasn't right. Now's the time. And I was going to go out on a world stage. This is March 1990. I was going to go out on a world stage and reveal great secrets. I'm presenting the sport for the BBC, right? And I was going to be world famous, and I was going to face enormous opposition, but they would always be there to protect me. And so it went on. There was a massive story that had been hidden from humanity, basically, and that story was going to be told. And I then got on the train, and I went to the BBC and presented a television programme, a sports programme. But I was in a daze after that, because something inside me, crazy as it sounded, something inside me said, go for this, go with this, go with this. And I went back the following week, last time I ever saw it, and I got some more stuff. One of the lines that came out there was, one man cannot change the world, but one man can communicate the message that can change the world. And then from that moment, my life became this synchronistic journey. One of the things that I was told was that I would be led to knowledge, and that other times knowledge would be put into my mind. And what has happened since is just that. You know, this synchronistic journey of meeting people, personal experiences, documents, books, happenings, that have been like giving me puzzle pieces in a jigsaw puzzle, almost in the order easiest to see where they go in the picture. And it's been going on ever since, because you know, when you look at the books that I've produced, including this one, if I was doing this alone, sitting in my room trying to work it all out, well, you know, I might be on book 2 by now. But it's this synchronicity. It's like, you know, when the reptilian thing came in, I was in America, talking to no one. I've spoken in people's front rooms in New England, about 3 or 4 people, and 8 people near Chicago and stuff like that, in those days around 96. But when I was on that tour, I say tour, it sounds grand, talking to nobody, I did meet lots of people in a very synchronistic way. So in a period of about 15 days, and I was traveling to a different place in America every day to speak, 12 separate people in that 15 days in different parts of America told me the same story of having seen people change into a reptilian form and back again. Which, of course, when you first hear that, you think, well, that's strange. You know, I mean, it's not like you say, oh, well, I don't know what's going on there. You go, what? And then it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds, and then eventually it crosses a line where you say, this is enough for me, I'm going with this. So that's what's happened ever since, and that's how the books have been put together in a very synchronistic way. And what has happened, it's like a subject will come into my life out of nowhere, like the reptilian thing, and suddenly it's everywhere. I came back to England after meeting all those people. I started meeting people in England, not because I was looking for them, they just kind of came into my life. And this is how it's been done. So, as strange as it may seem, there is some force that has been putting this information in front of me. Because I couldn't produce these books without that. I couldn't. It's impossible. You couldn't put all that information together and weave it together unless something was guiding you through the maze and shutting doors and opening doors to take you down the right channel. Otherwise, you just get lost in cul-de-sacs everywhere, and it wouldn't go anywhere.
Something I've always wanted to ask you was, way back at the beginning when you were flooded with this information very early on and it was very new to you, did you have a sense of a bigger picture? I know it grew organically, but did you have a sense that you were getting a glimpse at something enormous, or did you think that's all it was when what you first saw?
I didn't know where it was going, but I knew I had to go with it. That was the thing. I've got to go with this, I've got to go with this. And of course people around me were like, what's going on? What's going on, Dave? What's going on? I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I just had to go with it. Something said this is leading somewhere. And I remember, you know, eventually it comes round, and I had that amazing experience in Peru that's in the front of the book, but then it came round to the Wogan show, and I went on there, and I remember sitting there in the turquoise shell suit, and the audience were laughing, and David Icke, the personality, was dying a death, thinking, it's all over. But I remember so clearly at some other level of me out there was saying, it's leading somewhere. This is leading somewhere. Don't worry about it. It's leading somewhere. Well, at that moment, it didn't seem it was leading any bloody where except mass ridicule. But you see, when there's a path You know the part of the path that you're standing on. You don't know where the path is going. But some other level of you, beyond the conscious mind, knows where the path is going. And it knows what is necessary for that path to be trod. So often in our lives, this is a massive thing that happened to me at this point. Well, I have this line, life often gives us our greatest gifts, brilliantly disguised as our worst nightmares. And I went, therefore, as a result of the Wogan show, it seemed a disaster. It seemed, the mainstream media left a corpse in the gutter and walked away. I don't know what they make of it now. The corpse got up and carried on walking. They can't work it out. They can't. What do you mean people are listening to it? What's going on? But I went through this enormous, historic level of ridicule. And it set me free. It set me free of the prison that most people live in, which is the fear of what other people think of you. It's a prison. So I've reached the point where, well, what does it matter what people think of me? They're all laughing anyway, and they're all ridiculing and stuff. And of course, one of the things that I did, because I am crazy, is at the height of all this, I went on a speaking tour of university student unions. Can you imagine? One of my great kind of fears when I was younger was actually speaking in public. It was I just did the end, but these steps on the journey kept putting these experiences in front of me, giving me what I needed. Of course, speaking in public was one of them. And when you're a bit reticent about speaking in public, and this has happened at a university in Nottingham, it was a polytechnic once, as they used to call it, the University of Trent, I think they call it now. And I remember walking out this night, right in the absolute peak of the ridicule, they were just screaming abuse, but they were throwing, thankfully, paper beer cups at the stage. And I stood there and let it die down. I couldn't be heard anyway. And I said to them, you think I'm mad, don't you? And they went, yeah, whoa! I thought, ooh, decision makers of tomorrow, that's going to be fun. And then I let it die down again and I said, but you've paid to come here and ridicule someone you believe to be mad. What does that say about you? You could hear a pin drop for the rest of the night. Honestly, you could. Because so often, we think we're saying something about someone else, and every time we open our mouth, we're saying something about ourselves. So I went through this mass ridicule and walked out of this prison of fearing what other people think. It's not that you say, I don't care what people think, I don't care about your opinion. No, you have a right to your opinion, and if it makes sense, I'll listen to it. But I'm not going to live my life and say what I feel on the basis of your life and what you feel. Because once we concede ourselves to fearing what other people think, and my goodness me, political correctness now is taking this to steroid level. Once we concede our right to be us, to what we believe others think we should be, where's the I anymore? There's no I. We're not our unique I, we're someone else's version of what we should be. And what political correctness is doing is creating a global movement to pressure and intimidate people into denying the I and the personal opinion to fit in with what they are told the I should be. But fortunately, again, in what was in the experience in me, a nightmare, it set me free. Because I don't go through mental gymnastics thinking, okay, what do I leave out here? Or what do I say? How do I say it? They want to think I'm mad. I couldn't care less. I have this phrase I use in the book, to be called mad by an idiot is a compliment. We should encompass it. And if we can just let that big fear go, everything changes, because then we open our mouth and the I speaks, the unique I, not someone else's version of what it should be. And we need some serious backbone now to do this because of the mass assault on freedom of expression, freedom of thought, and freedom of opinion that we're now experiencing.